Okay, on Sunday I announced the Oracle Autonomous Database, the world's first completely self-driving database. And today I'm going to talk about our new cyber defense system, the Oracle Management and Security Cloud. And while the database is 100% automated, it's completely self-driving, it's autonomous. We're not quite there yet on our cyber defense system. It's highly automated, it's a huge amount of automation, it's more automated than anything else. But it's not 100% autonomous, so it really does work in conjunction with human beings to protect your data. And these two systems, the Oracle Autonomous Database and our highly automated cyber defense systems, are designed to stop data theft. And they work together to do just that. Companies are losing the cyber war. And it gets worse every year. Equifax is now in the news, where 143 million records, or records for 143 million Americans, that's about half of us, were stolen from Equifax. By the way, it's not just Americans, they're Canadians and Brits, but the American portion of the loss was 143 million. And they stole credit card data, social security data, home address data. I mean, it was a serious loss of information. And interestingly enough, all that data didn't show up on the dark web for sale the following day. It looks like it was stolen by a state actor who have other uses for the data. But think about it. Companies have to defend themselves against nation states who are stealing their data. And very sophisticated cyber criminals who are stealing their data. This is not an easy task to defend yourself against nation states. Some of these guys are very good at what they do. Equifax, apparently, according to congressional testimony, and that's what's going on right now, they've been called before Congress to testify and explain what happened. This is very, very embarrassing. This is headline data. Pretty much the entire executive team was forced to resign. The entire senior IT team was forced to resign. And that's just the beginning. The SEC is investigating stock sales that occurred after the hack and data theft, but before it was announced publicly. I mean, this is really a very bad situation. So, what can we do about it? Well, we have to reprioritize and rethink about how we defend our information. We need new systems. It can't be our people versus their computers. We're going to lose that war. It's got to be our computers versus their computers. And make no mistake, it's a war. Equifax, I don't think, was the worst loss that I've read about. And I can talk about what's in the news. And the Office of Personnel Management said, oh, how bad could that be? Office of Personnel Management, a federal agency, lost the records of 20 million federal employees. Oh, okay. How's that any worse than the Equifax loss? Well, these were people who had security clearances, and all of their security clearance and background data was stolen. These are the people who work at the White House and the Defense Department and the State Department and our embassies overseas. This was another state actor who took this data. And suddenly, the state actor knows everything about every employee who works in the embassy in their capital city, and the consulates in other cities around the country and around the world. And we had to pull, from what I read in the newspaper is true, we had to pull a lot of our agents, a lot of our intelligence agents out of the field because of this. This was an extraordinarily serious data loss. We are losing the cyber war. And our adversaries, the people we're fighting against, aren't our normal competitors. If you're a grocery store, you have a new competitor. It's Amazon, Whole Foods. You don't really think about your competitor being a nation in Eastern Europe who's stealing all your information. But they're a competitor also, or at least an adversary. We've got to do something. The current strategy is not working. The current strategy of some log analytics, looking at some logs, and some people patching some systems as best they can when there's a downtime window to do the patch is not working. One of the things that happened at Equifax was once they realized there was a vulnerability in Apache struts, by the way, nothing wrong with using open source software as long as you manage it properly. They were using Apache struts, and they said, okay, there's a problem, there's a vulnerability, we got to patch it. They couldn't even find all of their instances of Apache struts. They didn't have a tool set that allowed them to keep track of all of their assets in their data center so they could find every place they use Apache struts and patch it. They couldn't find it. Our data centers are enormously complicated. There are lots of servers and storage and operating systems, virtual machines, containers, databases, data stores, file systems. And there are thousands of them, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of them. It's hard for people to locate all these things and patch them. They have to be aware there's a vulnerability. It's got to be an automated process. You can't wait for a downtime window where you say, well, I can't take the system down. I know I got to patch this, but we have scheduled downtime middle of next month. Well, that's wrong thinking, and that's kind of a lack of priority for security. All right, maybe the most interesting thing I'll say, at least from my point of view, I'm going to say right now for this thing is, we don't take the security threat terribly seriously. Other people, or very few people in our organization, take it seriously. The people who are focused on security take it very seriously. The people who have other jobs in the data center are trying to get their jobs done. And sometimes when there's a security audit, they say, well, no, you're just slowing me down. You're slowing me down. I can't do all this stuff. So A, we've got to provide security without slowing down our other tasks. But we have to elevate the priority of security in our data center. Because no one wants to be on the front page about having lost their company's data. Equifax is a 100-year-old company, and they're fighting for their survival. Because someone in the data center didn't locate an instance of Apache struts and fix it when a fix was available. I had an experience with I'm not going to be terribly specific, with a European defense contractor, a very large European defense contractor that was acquiring a system. And I got into discussions with this very large European defense contractor, and one of the things, late in the game, I said, there are security issues. Look, I'm not even trying to sell our system. They were acquiring a human, an HR system, if you will, an automated HR system. I said, I don't want to sell you anything. I'm just telling you, before you acquire what you're planning on acquiring, you should look at all the security vulnerabilities in the system you're looking at. And make a long story short, their reaction was, well, the HR team is making that decision, they like this system, we don't think it's any worse than what we already have. This was a defense contractor, a gigantic defense contractor, with all of their HR data in the European Union. Our priorities are wrong. This security is a big deal. In aviation, safety is a very big deal. You know, we just don't tolerate airplane crashes. We really don't. And there are very few airplane crashes. We've made safety, job one. Ford said quality is job one. Aviation safety is job one. Security in our data centers, I don't know, what is it, job 10? It's really not prioritized, and I think we have to rethink about that. Okay. All right, more automation. The way to secure our data, the way to prevent data theft is more automation. And we need a cyber defense system that automatically detects vulnerabilities and attacks. Vulnerabilities, fix the vulnerability before an attack, and then if there is an attack, detect the attack and shut it down. The other thing is to automatically detect an attack or automatically detect a vulnerability is one thing. You know, we're looking at a bunch of database instances, and we find a database instance that, for some reason, doesn't have these 4 security patches. One of the things you do in automated security, and I'll talk about, that you look at kind of the normal, what a normal database instance looks like. You scan all this data, and so that all my instances of the database have all of these security patches. Whoa, wait a second, here's one over here that is missing 4 security patches. You should detect that long before an attack, because this configuration is so different from all your other configurations. And then you need to automatically fix it. You shouldn't have to, there should be no human intervention, and there should be no downtime required. It needs to be fully automated. To do that, we built the autonomous database that automatically will patch itself while running. These two systems, the detection system and the remediation system, work together. Again, it can't require manual intervention. Human beings make mistakes. My autopilot, my airplane flies way better than I do. When we go to autonomous cars, it's not that accidents will disappear completely, but we'll have fewer accidents, a lot fewer accidents than with human drivers. Autopilots are safer than human drivers. Autonomous database is much less likely to make a mistake. I'm not saying it's never going to make a mistake, but it's much less likely to make a mistake than a team of human beings managing that system. And not only do you have to patch yourself while running, you have to have other capabilities, like you have ransomware that deletes information from your system. Somehow it gets through. It could be an inside job. It could be an internal user that maliciously deletes a lot of your data. You've got to be able to go back. Your system has to be able to recover from those kind of failures. So A, you want to prevent attacks. You want to identify vulnerabilities and fix the vulnerabilities before there is an attack. You want to identify attacks and stop them when they're occurring. And then if an attack is successful and data is deleted, you need to recover it. Check, check, check. All 3 done by the Oracle Autonomous Database. More automation means higher security, but you've got to be willing to pay less. autonomous cars. If an autonomous Uber picks you up, the autonomous Uber is going to be way less expensive than the Uber with the driver. Automation costs less. Automated security does a better job and costs less than manual security. All of this, the autonomous database and our automated security system, is based on a new technology called machine learning. Machine learning is the most important new technology to show up for a long time. It kind of is delivering the promise of artificial intelligence when the idea of AI was first discussed and early systems were built. It never lived up to its promise until now. Machine learning actually works. I'm not going to spend a lot of time going into how it works. I am going to have a couple slides on it. But the applications for machine learning are as charismatic as anything that's happening in our world today.